Unitarian Universalism is a pluralistic tradition. So we're not, we celebrate the sources of many religious traditions. So just from the get-go, we already have a wider range of sources that we're drawing on to decide what's true about the world. And that goes back a long time, but you get into the 60s when the Unitarians and the Universalists became one church. The Universalist tradition believes that all people are saved, right? That if there is a God, and some of us are humanists and don't believe there is a God, but if there is a God, God is loving and would not condemn anyone to hell. So it comes from a place of, instead of original sin, sort of original blessing. So the way we look at human nature is that human beings, all souls are sacred and worthy, that all people should be treated with dignity and love. And so that theology of love is God is a God of love, and that love is the source of how we should interact with each other. That if you were going to take one truth out of the Judeo-Christian tradition, you would take the truth of love your neighbor as yourself. That's the truth we would walk with, and we would invite folks to walk with. So when we look at any human rights issue, we look at it first through that lens. What does love call you to do? If you were going to make a decision based on love, what would that look like? And so when we look at the LGBTQ community, we see a group of people who've not been treated with human dignity in many cases, who've been discriminated against on many different levels. And so it's not just a stance about marriage, but it's also a stance about non-discrimination in the workplace, non-discrimination for housing, that we should all have equal access to what it means to be human in this culture and all of the opportunities that come with that. Nobody should be excluded from that. So that's where that theology is based. And so yes, I mean, we ordained gay clergy before most. We celebrated, and from my perspective, it's been against my religion that I couldn't marry gay couples, right? Because I believe in being able to do that. So for us, this is also sort of a celebration of really being able to live out the full meaning of our tradition. So my hope is that anyone who's currently living as a married couple that hasn't done that legally, that has been holding out to do that when it became a legal option, that folks will take advantage of that opportunity, because it affords you some rights around all kinds of different things, having access to your partner in the hospital, being able to deal with property rights and other kinds of things. There's some things you have access to once you get married that are legal opportunities. So I hope the couples who maybe already have children together or already sharing a household will find this as an opportunity to go ahead and just take the next step so they can have access to those things that other straight couples have had already. Now, certainly there's people who are just dating or haven't met the right person, and when they do and they want to marry someone, that opportunity will be there. What we want to do in this next couple weeks is offer that opportunity to anybody who's kind of been waiting in the wings. They didn't have the money to go to Iowa. They didn't have the money to drive to another state and take care of this. Or they want to do it here so that they have access to all the legal opportunities here in Kansas. Our hope is that those folks will go ahead and get that taken care of just to protect themselves and their families by having access to those legal rights. So we're inviting folks to come celebrate with us. On Monday, we will celebrate any couple who was married in another state, any same-sex couple who was married somewhere else, or who's waiting to get married, or not sure if they want to get married yet, and just celebrate that their unions are just as valid and just as loving as any other union. So we'll celebrate all that, and if there are folks who want to go ahead and they've got the license and they're ready to go ahead and have a brief ceremony, we'll go ahead and do that. And we've got volunteers who are willing to take photos and provide cupcakes, and officiants from different traditions who are willing to do those small, sort of short ceremonies. And for some people, this is, they've been living together, they have kids, they have other things set up. They're not looking to do a big fancy wedding right now. What they're looking to do is have access to the legal mechanisms other people have access to. So we're celebrating that. And at the same time, we're recognizing that there's a lot more left to a work to be done for human dignity and for folks to have access to human rights.